Assalamu alaikum everyone. We are back with marketing, and today what we are gonna do is we are gonna look about different aspects of market, different things regarding market like market size, market growth, and market share, and the importance of each. So first we have is market share. Market share is market size. Sorry, market size is the total level of sales of all products within a market. It just tells how much big the market is. It just tells the size of a market. For example, it could be like in millions. For example, let's say it's 48 million. 48 million is the market size. It could be 48 million dollars, which is the total level of sales, or it could be value as well. By value, it's like this is the 48 million. These are just numbers. It could be like these are sorry values, and by level it could be like just around, let's say, 40 million sales. These are the number of units sold, so this will be level. It could be either by number of units sold or the value of the product. So that's how we calculate market. Calculating market share is not much difficult. You are just given some data like, okay, you have a 60 million population, and only 50% of this population buys some product. So what is the market size then? If 50% buy it, then 50% of 60 million is 30 million. 30 million is the market size. So that's how you can just calculate it. So market size is about the total sales of all products within a market. Now defining a market can be tough, but market, as we discussed earlier, is what? It's a group of customers with similar needs. So it could be an automobile market, or it could be a clothing cloth retailer market. It could also be bakeries as well, or restaurants for specific restaurants like which offers breakfast like coffee and all. That's what different types of market could be, and we just determine the size of the market. Now, why is it important? It is important as it can assess whether a market is worth entering or not. If a market is large, we know that okay, there is some possibility of us, we can enter, we also can get this, we can also get some of these large sales or this large value. And what is another important point is that it helps to calculate market share, because market share is calculated from the sales of business upon sales of market, and this sales of market is actually the market size. And another thing is that growth or decline can be found, which is just market growth, and it helps us to calculate both of these things, and it allows us to tell if a market is worth entering or not. So that's a bit about market size. Now talk about market growth. Market growth is the percentage change in the total size of a market for a period of time. It could be 50 million. So you can say, okay, the market has grown by how much? If you want to calculate by how much, it will be 50, 48 upon 50 times 100, which will roughly be around. It will be very minute, but there will be some growth, of course. It just tells that okay, some growth has taken place over past years. But if on the other hand we get 400 million units sold, I'm just telling. So this shows that okay, the sales have dropped now, which tells that the market has decreased in size or it has shrinked. Why it has shrinked? Some customers might have been lost, or a business might have been shut down. There are multiple reasons, and these are just some examples of it. Market growth is also important for the same thing, that it helps us to understand if a market is growing at a steady rate, then competitors might want to enter it and gain some profit as well. Or if it's declining, then they will try to stay away from this market as it's more riskier and all. So that's about market growth. Now finally we have market share, the most important of all these. Market share is the percentage of sales in a total market that are made by one business. Like how much your business has contributed towards the market size. What are the sales of your business in that whole market share? Is it 20%, 30%, 40%? It's expressed in percentages instead of whole numbers, because if we just express in whole numbers, we don't know how much big the market size is. So that could be a big trouble. So we just try to express it in percentage. So if a business, the greater the market share, the more the sales of a business is in the market, and the business with the highest market share in a market is known as brand leader. That's something you all must know, because the brand leader is the one who sets the trends in price, and all the other business follow it. It has a brand reputation and all. So all the business, all it has the most customers, so it that's one of the advantages it gets in advertisement and all. And retailers are also keen to stock that product. So I'm just telling some benefits about market leader. Now let's move on. Now what we are gonna do is that we are gonna discuss some benefits and drawbacks of market share. Limitation. So what are the benefits of increasing a market share? Increase in number of customers, of course. If you're increasing your market share, it means that your sales have overall increased, so your customers have also increased. And then the brand of the image, the brand image of the business might also increase as the business becomes well known. If your sales have increased, your customers must have grown, and as your customers have grown, the brand image has increased. That must, it could have increased, so that could also be a positive effect. And then increased is scale of operations. As the business increases, it makes more sales, so the scale of operations will be increase. Hence economies of scale can be achieved. So like, if you are making, you if you were making first 5 million products, now you're making 10 million products, so you're making more products. Hence you will have to buy more raw materials, and as you buy more raw materials, you can ask supplier to give some discount as you are purchasing in bulk. So economies of scale are achieved and you'll get some discounts on it. So as due to this discount, there the unit cost becomes low, which leads to an increase in profit. So if you're charging the same price before, even though now your costs have decreased, so your profit will increase. And it could be that you don't want to increase your, you want to keep that profit same, so you decrease your cost, decrease your selling price. Your profit will stay the same, but your the business will become more competitive as the selling price has decreased. So that could be an advantage in a competitive market. And retailers are keen to stock known brands. If your brand is well known, just as I said about the market, the brand leader, the market leader. So if you are making more sales, retailers will be more keen to stock your brands, and you can and then they can give more discounts, like they can purchase at a discounted rate, so you'll get more sales, and at a, you'll just, your sales will further increase, and hence the profits will also increase. Now what are the limitations of measuring market share? Market share is a tricky thing to measure because of the, it can either be by volume or value. So some business might appear to be, to have a greater market share if they are calculated in terms of value or volume. So for example, a business might have a low market share if measured using one technique and higher when using another. Like for example, let's take an example of jeweler, a jewelry, a person who deals with jewelries. Now as they are dealing with something which is not sold much in numbers, but their value is much more, so it should be calculated using by value for jewelries, so you can easily measure the market share of the business. But if you instead went for volume, it will show a much lower market share. And the opposite can be for FMCG business, where your sales should be measured by volume, as there's not much value to the product, so it's more about how much how many products are sold. And hence these two methods must be used, like these should be used wherever appropriate. And another thing is that if you're comparing two business, a business A, this jeweler business, with the FMCG business, then you can't just compare market share as it is, because the different methods are used, so it won't give a fair idea about that market share, and it won't be easy to invest in it. So if a business deals with valuable products, then by value approach is suitable, otherwise by volume method it's suitable to calculate market share, just as we discussed now. And the final thing is that the problem is that collecting data from market is not very easy. The market data is not available as it is, and the problem actually arises: what is a market? How do you define a market? It may be like we can easily give a definition, but in reality it won't be too easy to just okay pick up the number of customers who are actually included in your market. So it's not relatively easy when it comes to practice, and hence it becomes a problem in calculating market share. So that's about it. We have talked about market size, market growth, and market share. Hope you guys understood it. Thanks for watching. Allah Hafiz.